Welcome to Milano Recording Studios. My name is James Pavel Shakras, and in today's video I have a bit of a face-off between two really cool keyboards. On the bottom we have the Kawai MP11, which is Kawai's flagship stage piano. It uses their Grand Feel action, and it has a few updated sounds from the original MP11, featuring a SK Conchagrand as the default sound. It's warm, it's rich, it's lovely. Some of the other sounds in here have been changed as well, and it is a really fantastic keyboard. The build quality on it is amazing. It's metal and wood, it's durable, it's heavy, it's really, really nice. On top, we have the Nord Stage 3, which is Nord's most capable stage piano. It has a dedicated organ section with full drawbar controls, a Leslie Sim, which I believe is derived from the Nord C2D clone wheel organ, and a lot of other really great organ controls. There's a dedicated piano section over here with some awesome piano samples that Nord has been pretty famous for, having really high quality piano samples. And over here we have a dedicated synth section with a number of different waveforms and things you can do to those waveforms. And this synth category also contains a built-in sample library of 249 samples. You can add more and remove them, and it's really, really great. The Nord Stage 3 is very, very functional, and the MP11 is very, very durable. But there are a number of differences between these keyboards as well. They are both stage pianos, and they do have a few things in common, but they also are different. So that's why I wanted to do this video, and some of you are probably sitting there saying, this isn't a fair comparison. There's a huge price difference between these keyboards, and there's a huge difference in the things that they can and cannot do. But that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this video, because I wanted to introduce you guys to these keyboards if you haven't seen them before, and let you guys know of many of their differences. I'm not going to be able to cover every possible thing, but I will let you guys know of some of the things that make these different, and also some of the things that make them the same. So what I think I'm going to do is start off by playing the... Which one should I start off with? I don't even know which one I should start off with. I'll start off with the MP11 because it's on the bottom, and then I will play the Nord Stage 3. I will play a couple of pieces on the default piano sound on the MP11SE, and then play a couple of sounds on the default piano sound on the Nord Stage 3, and let you guys see what you think. Wrong pedal. A solo duet between two keyboards on one piece. I don't know how well that turned out, but hopefully you guys enjoyed hearing it, because mid-performance I was thinking, if I play this song on both keyboards, it's going to be really long and it might be boring. So then I was like, what if I just like split it up between the two keyboards and played like a little bit on one, a little bit on the other. I think that might have worked out pretty well. I hope you guys enjoyed that. It's a bit of a way of shortening up the video, but yet also making it playing both keyboards at the same time. So hope you guys enjoyed that. So you can kind of hear that both of these keyboards do have a different sound, but both of them sound very good. I'm not going to go through every single piano sample on here. I'm going to keep it simple and just talk about the defaults of a few of the main sounds that many people buy keyboards to get. The acoustic pianos, Rhodes sounds, maybe some Wurlitzers, and I might mess around with some of the other fun samples in here. But the piano samples on both of these keyboards are very, very good, but they do have some differences. The one that I notice the most would be that the Nord Stage 3 has a much more prominent sympathetic resonance, especially in the mid-range. If I play a little passage of some Clair de Lune, and I'll play the same passage down here, you might be able to tell, especially if you have a pair of good headphones or a good speaker system, that in the mid-range of this keyboard, as well as the treble, but especially in the mid-range, this keyboard has a lot more sympathetic resonance. When I play a few notes with the pedal down, it sounds very open. And when I do the same thing on here, it sounds a lot cleaner. Now, in the treble, both of these pianos have excellent sympathetic resonance. But I find that the treble on the MP11, once again, is a little bit more clean and perfect than on the Nord Stage 3. There's a bit more noise in the treble, like you might find on some pianos, which I find is really interesting. There's actually a different sound. It's like they're two different pianos. Wrong pedal, but let me try that again, actually. So there is a different sound between these two keyboards, which I find is very interesting. But overall, both of them have a very, very nice sound. It kind of depends on what kind of a sound you're looking for when you're comparing these two keyboards. The Royal Grand 3D, the default sound on the Nord Stage 3, is a little bit brighter in certain ranges than on the MP11. I feel like in this range right here, it's very easy to make the notes be a little bit too bright, whereas down here, it's a bit more piano-like. If I play Moonlight Sonata, that really demonstrates that very well. Hear how easy it was for me to bring out those notes, this G sharp and this A. If I play the same thing down here on the MP11, you'll hear a bit of a difference. On the MP11SE, you have to work a little bit harder to get those notes to bring and sound out. On the Nord Stage 3, it's a little bit too easy to make them come out, and this range of the piano, I feel like, is a little bit brighter than down here on the MP11SE. The MP11SE has a bit of a fatter sound overall than the Nord Stage 3, except in the treble. The MP11SE is very delicate and sparkly. I played it a little bit earlier for you guys, but really delicate and icy and really, really nice. This appears a bit different. If I hold the pedal down. It's also icy, but there's a bit of extra noise up there that makes it a lot different from the MP11SE. Am I nitpicking? I don't really say that I'm nitpicking. I'm not saying that one is worse than the other. I'm just showing you guys all of the really small, intricate details that make these keyboards different. And one of those would be the sound of the bass. The Royal Grand 3D sounds like a much smaller piano in the bass than the SK Concert Grand. It's not labeled a Concert Grand on here, but you'd think that the default sound of the stage piano would be a Concert Grand. But this is the sound of the bass on the Royal Grand 3D. Compared to the MP11. The MP11 sounds big and sturdy, and this sounds a little bit like a 6-foot piano trying to be a Concert Grand. However, it's actually not that bad. When you're playing other notes and you hit a low bass note, it doesn't sound all that bad. But by itself, when you just play octaves and stuff like that, it sounds a little bit small and tubby, which I find kind of interesting. The bass on this definitely sounds like a Concert Grand. So now shall we move on from the piano samples onto the Rhodes sounds. Both of these have Rhodes sounds. This one here has around 6, and this one here has a few more than that. I think there are quite a few of them. I think maybe it is around 6. Let's see. There's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 of them. Yeah, I think there's 8 of them, and this one has around 6 to 7. So there's actually about the same amount of Rhodes sounds on both of these keyboards. Now, I did say I was going to move on to the Rhodes thing, but I did want to mention one other thing, and that would be the feel of the action. And the MP11SE, I think I mentioned earlier, has a very piano-like action. It's a fully weighted action with full-length wooden keys that are designed to feel as much like a piano's action as possible. Now, on Nord's website, and basically everywhere else, it's this action that's used in the Stage 3 is labeled and, I guess, branded as a fully weighted action. But when compared to this, which is a truly fully weighted action meant to feel like a real Concert Grand, this feels extremely light and almost like an organ or something like that by comparison. It does not feel fully weighted at all compared to the MP11SE. It really feels semi-weighted, to be honest with you. So Nord has gone with a very, very light action in here, which wouldn't necessarily be bad, but especially when you're playing quietly, they have a kind of a what's the word I'm looking for? Kind of like a raspy feel when you play them very quietly and you gently push them down. They don't go down quite as smoothly and predictably as the keys do on here, which is one thing I wanted to note. Most people probably won't be affected by that, but since I play a lot of real pianos, when something feels a lot different from a real piano, it really stands out to me. So that's the really big thing I'm noticing about this. Having a light action necessarily isn't bad. Many people I have noticed want a lighter action, and I have heard many people complain that the action in this is too heavy for them. So if you're looking for a professional level keyboard that has a light action, then Nord Stage 3 is the way to go. If you're a student or a not someone who wants to spend this much money on a keyboard, perhaps a lower line action might be better for you. I know the lower level stage piano from Kawai, the MP7, uses a bit of a lighter action than the Grand Feel, so that's just an option for you. So now let's actually move on to the Rhodes sound, shall we? So the Rhodes sounds on here are a bit different as well. I'm going to turn both of them down just a little bit because on many keyboards, the Rhodes samples tend to be louder than the piano samples, and that seems to be a widespread thing between many keyboards. The piano samples are the quietest, the Rhodes samples are the second loudest, the organ sounds are the third loudest, and in some keyboards, the bass sounds, like a stand-up bass, are the loudest sounds on the whole keyboard. It's very strange. But let me play a little bit of Riders on the Storm on both of these keyboards, and I hope you guys enjoy. So that was a taste of the Rhodes sound on the Nord Stage 3 as well as on the MP11SE. Now let me know what you guys thought down in the comments of the sounds on both of these keyboards and which sound you liked more. I personally think that the MP11SE is a lot closer to the sound of a real Rhodes than that of the Nord Stage 3. The Nord is a little bit too jingly up here in this kind of range of the instrument, and it's too distorted sounding down here in the bass. Have a listen to this. Compared to down here on the MP11SE. That is more of like what a real Rhodes sounds like. If my Rhodes sounded like this, I'd probably be taking it to a technician because I don't think they're supposed to sound like this. Not really. So the Nord comes kind of close. It sort of sounds like a Rhodes, but the MP11SE I think comes a lot closer. Now in the future I'm going to be doing a video where I compare all of these keyboards that I have here at the studio to the instruments that they attempt to replicate. So I will be pairing the MP11SE, the Nord Stage 3, and some of the other top brand manufacturers that I have of stage pianos against my 1973 Fender Rhodes suitcase model. I'll be running them through 2 amps to get the auto pan effect and recording them all in the same way. And we will see which keyboard comes out on top. And it'll be very, very interesting to see, but I think the MP11 might do pretty well because I really enjoy the Rhodes sound on here. A few things I wanted to mention about these two pianos before I move on and mess around with some more fun sounds. Something that I wanted to mention about them is that another role that both of these keyboards would have is perhaps being a practice instrument. That's what many of us buy a keyboard for. Those of us who can't afford a piano, or for those of us who want to keep time off of our piano and make it last longer, would be interested in purchasing a keyboard because, for many reasons, a keyboard takes up less space than a piano. In a traveling situation, it's much easier to move, and in a practicing situation, if you have a real piano, you can keep time off of it, and like I said before, if you don't have a piano, a keyboard is a much more affordable alternative. The MP11SE, if you're looking at keyboards for a practice situation, the MP11SE makes a much better practice piano than the Nord Stage 3, and here's why. First of all, as I've said a couple of times before, the action in this is very similar to what you would find in a real piano. It's not identical. I don't think that a real piano action can be replaced quite yet with a slab piano action, but this comes as close as you're going to find. It has that substantial but responsive feel, and it's very pleasant to play. Another benefit about the MP11SE is that straight out of the box it comes with a triple pedal unit. So you get the damper, you get the sostenuto, and you get the una corda pedal like you would find on most grand pianos. Some pianos, older ones, have only 2 pedals, but most pianos have 3, and this comes with a triple pedal unit right out of the box. And another bonus with it is that it comes with a music stand, a very high quality one at that. It's all metal, and it will do a very good job of holding your sheet music up. It's a little bit small, it doesn't extend the whole range of the whole length of the instrument, but it is a music desk, and it does come with one. Now, the Nord Stage 3, as I've mentioned before, the action is light and really doesn't feel all that much like a piano. It does have more weight in it than an organ, but it has much less weight in this, I think, which is why I like to think that the fully weighted name is not quite accurate. However, it does work, and if you're just looking for casual music to play and you already have a piano that you want to practice on, it would be okay for a gigging musician. Another thing that would make this not as good of a practice instrument as this is that it doesn't come straight out of the box with a triple pedal unit. So if you're looking to practice classical music that utilizes the other 2 pedals, this one might not be for you. You can buy a triple pedal unit for it aftermarket, manufactured not by Nord, but it has their name on it, but it doesn't come with it out of the box. And the other thing it doesn't come with out of the box would be a music desk, which can be a definite annoyance because then you'd have to have a separate music stand to place behind the keyboard. I think most of us like to have our keyboards against the wall as close as possible, so you'd have to have it out a bit to get the music stand back there. However, it does have mounting points in the back for a music desk that you can buy optionally as well. So you do have to spend a little bit extra money getting more things for this keyboard to make it a better practice instrument, whereas this comes with everything that you will need right out of the box, the music desk and the triple pedal unit, as well as having the far superior action if you're looking to get as close to a real piano experience as you can. So I think that's about it for discussing these. So let's move on to a couple of more fun sounds here just to experiment and just to show you guys a little bit more about these keyboards. For example, we have a reed piano sound down here, and we also have a reed sound on here. I'm just going through these just because they're kind of fun. The Wurlitzer sounds up here are not quite as gritty sounding, to say the least. Sounds more like a Hohner Pianette than it does a Wurlitzer 200. This next one is a little bit more gritty, but if you're looking for a keyboard that has good whirly sounds, this is one option of many. One thing that I did mention about the Nord Stage 3 is that it also has organ sounds. You have a dedicated organ section over here with full drawbar control, kind of like you would on a Hammond B3, so you have the same amount of drawbars and they do the same thing. Nord has a few different size versions of it, and the smallest size, the 73-key version, has actual manual drawbars you can pull in and out, whereas the full-size version, the 88-key, as well as the 76-key, have these buttons. However, I think they work actually pretty well. They're designed very well. It doesn't take very long to pull the drawbar in and out, so to speak, and they do their job pretty good. Here's a little sample of the organ sounds. Organ sounds tend to be a bit louder than the keyboard, so I think it should be at a good level. It has the CD2 or C2D rotary speaker engine, I believe, in it, and that is why it sounds pretty good. And again, you have full drawbar control. just like you do on a real Hammond B3. It also has percussion and vibrato chorus, and it has one of the best sounds for a B3 that I've found on a stage piano. Does it replace a B3? No, and frankly, it really doesn't come very close. But for a stage piano, it is the best that I've been able to find. When you're playing it, especially if you have the right drawbar settings, I really didn't there, but especially when you have the right drawbar settings, it actually can kind of sound like a recorded Hammond B3, which is pretty nice. Again, there's also the whole synth side of things over here as well, and you can do a lot of cool things with that. So if you're looking for a keyboard that can do synth stuff as well as regular music, this would be one of your options. You can do a lot of cool things, but one of my favorite things you can do here is you can play back various samples. You can also record your own samples and put them in here and play around with that. And so we have a very wide variety of samples in here, like orchestral strings and stuff like that. Many of the samples in here do sound kind of muddy to me and really soft sounding. Like many of these string sounds sound kind of soft, so I like to run them through the EQ and make them a bit brighter. Boost the mids a bit. Which sounds a little bit more realistic than this. That sounds like listening to an orchestra with cotton in your ears. But one thing I find kind of humorous in a way is that there are a lot of pizzicato sounds on here. There are more pizzicato string sounds than on any other keyboard I know. Here's one. Let me go one more. Then there's another one just down here. Here is another one. There it is. I'm not playing the same sample. These are actually all different pizzicato sounds. There's at least a few more in here too. Here's another one. And there's another one. And I think there's at least two more after this as well. Yes, here's two more. And one last one. So why there are like 8 different pizzicato string sounds, I don't know, but I find that kind of funny that there's a whole bunch of pizzicato strings, and there's also like a whole bunch of string sounds in here. So if you're looking for something that has a lot of various string sounds, this could be an option for you. But there's a lot of really cool samples in here, many of which it shares with the MP11SE. They're different samples, but they're of the same type of sound. For example, we have, what do I have that on? We have a marimba on here. And down here we also have a marimba, which is an octave too low for some reason. Oh, am I running it? What's going on? Something's funny here. There we go. Why is it doing that? I'm a little bit new to this. I don't know exactly what is going on here. Why does it sound like that? I must have another wave, another sine wave or something going on there at once. Let me find that again, and let me play that for you again. Because it shouldn't sound like that. Where'd it go? I might have had the piano layered with it before. No, I didn't. I think I have a sine wave underneath of it. I have to figure out how to get that off. But that is the marimba sound on there as well. It also has a vibraphone sound, which is actually quite nice. Which I can run through a tremolo. Like you can on a real vibraphone, and then down here there's also a vibraphone sound as well. Which one do you like better? Let me know, guys. And there are a few other sound samples that these have in common. So I think that that's about it, and I think that's about everything that I wanted to tell you guys about on these two keyboards. They are both really, really cool keyboards, and I enjoy playing them both. I'm a little bit new to the Nord Stage 3, so there's still a few things I have to learn about it. I've only had it for a few days, and that is one of the things that I do want to mention about it, that the Nord Stage 3 has a bit of a learning curve. When you know how to do stuff, it does get kind of intuitive, but there is a learning curve. It does operate a bit differently than many other keyboards. keyboards, for example, you have a shift button that gives dual function to many of these other knobs, and so sometimes I'll hit a button expecting it to do the secondary function when I have to hold shift to get it to do the secondary function. That's why the Marimba's got tuned down an octave lower or something. And there are a few other things like layering sounds and mixing them. Layering them is easy, but mixing them and blending them together is a little bit tricky. On this, you just simply hit the key range button and hold it down to set where the divide you want it to be, and then you have split instruments. This here is a little bit more complicated. But overall, both of these are really, really fantastic keyboards, and both of them, as I've said, have their place. This would be an excellent practice instrument for a classical pianist or somebody who's practicing to be a classical pianist, because it has a very, very accurate piano action, and it also comes with the triple pedal unit, the music desk. So if you wanted to either not buy a real piano or you wanted to keep time off of your real piano, this would be a really good option. However, this is extremely heavy. This weighs in at around 70-ish pounds, whereas this ranges around 40-ish pounds. So almost half of the weight of this. And so if you're not going to be moving around the keyboard, this would be a very good option, especially if you want that real piano experience. This, if you're looking to be constantly doing gigs and sets all over town or whatnot, this would be a very good option because it's very light, it's very, very easy to move. I believe there are a lot of different case options for it. I think Nord has like a backpack style one, and I'm sure there's other styles as well out there. So this would be very easy for one person to move around. This would probably need two, although cases are available for most keyboards. Although this is a very tall keyboard, so a special case might have to be purchased, which would be probably pretty expensive. This is a slim instrument, so it would fit in most types of cases. And also the action in this, like I said, is not as realistic as this. So if you're looking for something, again, that has a real piano type of action that feels like one, this would be more of an option than this. But again, this does have its place. If you're looking for organ sounds, it's a really great choice. The organ sounds on here are amazing. If you're looking for something that does synths, it has a lot of really cool synth sounds, and also the sample library thing is really cool. You can make your own samples, play them back through it, connect it up to an external device, and play stuff through that. It has a lot of capability, more capability than this, but this also does have limitations, such as the weight, which might be an issue if you're moving it around, and this has no organ sounds whatsoever. So hopefully you guys have enjoyed this in-depth review and comparison between the MP11SE and the Nord Stage 3. Hope you guys enjoyed hearing the different sounds and hearing them back to back. I thought that was kind of cool what I did with the Eric CT piece. I played one line on here and one line on here. Let me know what you guys thought of that. If you liked it, I might do it more in the future on other comparisons. So hopefully you guys enjoyed it. If you did, you might want to go ahead and subscribe to my channel. And if you do that, thank you very much. One final thing I wanted to mention is that this video really couldn't have been done without the help of Benjamin Kim from Kim's Pianos in Stanton, California. I should have mentioned that at the beginning, but he actually loaned me this MP11SE completely free of charge, which was absolutely amazing. So if it weren't for him, I probably wouldn't have an MP11SE here to compare, and instead I'd have to use the older, slightly outdated MP11 that I personally own. So big shout out to Benjamin Kim of Kim's Pianos in Stanton for loaning me this keyboard. If you liked my video, you might want to think about subscribing, and definitely if you're in the Stanton area, go check out Kim's Pianos as well. It's an awesome piano store. If you liked this video, you might want to go ahead and give it a like, and if you do that, thank you very much, and I will see you in the next video. Goodbye.